Hi sweetheart, here's a video on how I make chawanmushi. I'm hoping that one day you're going to be able to use it to make it yourself. One of the first things we're going to do is start getting our water started by adding about a quart of water, enough water so that it heats up pretty quickly, but it doesn't come up to the top of the strainer. And we're going to bring it to a boil while we do all the other preparation. The next thing, you've always got to make sure that your cups fit, because if your cups don't fit, you're going to heat the water and they're not going to be able to steam it, so you'll have to transfer it to another pot. So we're going to get all the stuff prepared. We have our mushrooms, egg, green onions, cilantro, fish cake or kamaboko, and then we're going to have all of our utensils prepared. We have our whisk, 2 bowls, 1 cup measuring cup, and some spoons and a lid. And let's see, we have our meating, we need our chicken. Then we can get a cup full of water, and we're going to put the cup in the microwave to heat it up. Let's get a cup of water. Put the cup in the microwave for a minute. We're going to heat up our water first. We don't want it too hot, but we want it warm enough to dissolve the dashi. This is the one that I love to use, this soup mix. I use it for everything. And this is just a fish broth, but it has a lot of salt, it has sugar, and it has MSG. A lot of people don't like to use this because it has MSG. Start the soup with adding 1 cup of water to our bowl. I like to use 1 cup of water for every egg. So we have 1 egg. We'll add 1 cup of water. I like to use 1 tablespoon of mirin per egg. Some people like a little bit more. Some people like a little bit less. It depends on your taste. In fact, some people like to use sake instead of mirin. If you don't want mirin, which is Japanese rice vinegar, you don't have to put any of it in there at all. And then I'm going to pour this in my hand and then slowly add it to the water just to get that nice, perfect yellow tint. And the reason why I put it in my hand first as I mix it is so that if I use the package, sometimes you just accidentally dump the whole package in. This way you can measure the amount that you do and you're not going to over seasoning or make the sauce too thick. And that's a nice, perfect yellow. And look at that, I ended up with some extra soup stock powder that I'm totally not going to use. And you want to keep mixing it up nice and good. This is still a little bit too hot, even though I put the water in for 1 minute. So we're going to set this aside and let it cool down. And while we're waiting for it to cool down, we're going to cut our veggies. Mushroom first. And everybody has their own way of cutting up their vegetables when they put it in to chawanmushi. I like to use nice little bite-sized dices. I feel like every spoonful has one little dice size bite, which is perfect. And I use half a mushroom for each bowl. So I'm going to split these in 2. I'm going to put 1/2 on the left side and 1/2 on the right side, so I don't accidentally put the wrong one in the wrong bowl. Or I can actually just put it in the bowl. Let's do that. Let's just go ahead and put it in the bowl. Got our mushroom. We're going to slice our fish cake. Again, I'm going to use nice little dices. So that every spoon has a nice little piece in it. And then I'm going to cut the chicken. If you have any chicken fat, you want to trim it off. Nice little dices of chicken. Let's add our chicken. This is what it looks like. We got a nice little bowl of mushroom, fish cake, and chicken. Let's see. Oh, it's still a little too warm, but we're gonna go ahead and add our egg, and we're gonna stir it in circular motions. We want to incorporate it into the soup stock without making too many bubbles. We're gonna strain any bubbles out anyway. We don't want any bubbles, or not as many bubbles as we can. This is another reason why you don't want the water too hot, because you don't want the water to cook the egg. You want it warm enough to dissolve the soup stock, but not so hot that it actually starts to cook the egg. And there we got a little bit of foam in there. So it's a nice amount. Now we're gonna, I already rinsed this out. I'm gonna strain it. And that's all the foam. We do not want that foam in there. One thing I noticed with these packages of dashi, that if you don't fold the ends up nice and tight, that moisture gets in there and it turns into a solid block. And when it's in a solid block from the moisture, it is impossible to get that to break up. Okay, now let's get the cilantro ready. We're going to take our cilantro and put a nice knot in it. One of the best things about cilantro is that it doesn't take a lot to have a nice cilantro smell. So we definitely don't want a lot in there, because we don't want a strong smell. And for some reason, I always do it in a knot. You can even add leaves at the end. That one didn't work. It's too stiff. This is not too stiff. This one will probably work. Okay, we have our knot. We're going to pinch off the end. Let's see if I can get this one. Oh, this one's limp. Here we go. Pinch this off. Set it aside. We're going to spoon in our soup, or egg custard, raw egg custard. And switching back and forth. So that I get equal amount. I'm giving it a nice little stir to break up all the pieces of mushroom and cilantro. Anything that's, get it nice and mixed. It's kind of cool how the mushrooms float to the top, isn't it? I don't know why sometimes the pieces of kamaboko stick together. I don't like when it sticks together. I want to make sure that everything is nice and coated and separated and broken apart. Again, so every scoop of the spoon has its own little flavor profile of a diced piece of filling inside. I'm going to add the cilantro onto the top. Put the lid on. And let's take this over to the steamer. And we're going to add our cups. We also turn the heat down to medium, but after I add the cups to the steamer, I'm going to check and turn it down to between low and medium and set a timer for 20 minutes. And while this is steaming, I'm going to do all the dishes and put everything away. And then I'm going to come back and cut up the green onions. It's been 20 minutes now, and it's a perfect time to check on it. Now, this is the most important part that you want to make sure that you do. You want to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. So you want to remove the lid. And you can see here, you want to put a chopstick or a skewer and put it all the way to the bottom and make sure that the water is clear. And you see how it's still milky? That when I put the chopstick in, it's not clear. That means it's not cooked all the way. So we're going to put it in. That was actually super milky. Looks like it needs another 10 minutes. It's been about 9 minutes, so we're going to check it again. I kind of pulled it out early on purpose. Well, let's see if this time we can get that nice clear broth. There we go. We got that firmness. Stick the chopstick in. Let's check both of them. Keep this off. We got that nice firmness of a custard. Put our chopstick in. Let's see if it's got a nice little pull to it. Ooh, that is just a tad milky. I'm going to put it in for another minute. Turn up the heat. And I know for sure 1 more minute on medium heat, it's going to be perfect. It's been another minute, so we're going to do a check by turning the heat down. And let's open this bad boy up. And put our chopstick in. Pull it away. Oh yeah. Looks great. Yep, nice and clear. It's that nice firm texture. We are in business. Now we're going to cut our green onion. Key to doing that is to make sure that when you cut your green onion, that you don't smush it, that you don't cut it too thin so that it smushes and mashes up, but it's thick enough to still hold the shape. And I'm going to pinch it just slightly on the edges so that we get nice bouncy green onion bits, and then thick enough so they have that nice little circle flavor bounce back. So when you bite into it, you get a nice little bit of crunch. Now, I don't recommend doing this at home using your fingers. Hot, hot. Separate it out. Is that a wilted piece? We don't want these wilted pieces in there. I want every single piece to be nearly perfect. I'm going to sprinkle that on top. Cover it up and let it cool. There we go. This goes in the trash. A most amazing Chawanmushi.